Recording in progress.
All right, good morning. Thank you all for being here for our quarterly plant board meeting. Appreciate you taking time out of your schedules to be here, and thank you for attending via Zoom. I'd like for everyone to go around and introduce themselves, but before we go around the room, we're going to call on the Zoom people first, just to cover a couple of things. One, if you're attending via Zoom, if you're a board member attending via Zoom, when we take a vote, if you would, you're going to need to identify yourself first and then the vote. We'll see if y'all can manage to order yourselves. And if not, if we're stepping on each other when we're talking, we'll just call on you and then you can identify yourself and vote. So if you could, Zoom people, we'll start with Sammy since A leads the names alphabetically. Sammy, if you would.
Good morning. Glad to join y'all. Sorry to be by Zoom and not in person, but look forward to the meeting.
All right, we'll see if we can order the rest of ourselves. Somebody, I'll let either Matt or.
Yeah, hello, I'm Matt Miles from Deshae County, representing the soybean farmers. Glad to be here.
Dr. Ken Korth.
Good morning. I'm Ken Korth, representing University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture, and my apologies for not being there in person.
That's okay. We'll get your donut parcel out to somebody else fairly. Garrett.
Good morning, everyone. Garrett Frost, Marianna, Arkansas, representing aerial application.
Very good. Mr. Robert.
Robert Thorne, Crittenden County, representing landscaping.
Nathan Reed from Marianna, Arkansas, farmer at large.
George Ducklin, Arkansas County, representing pesticide committee.
Travis Center, Mississippi County, representing farmers at large.
Nathan Slayton, representing the University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture.
Robin Rolston, Pope County, representing wholesale retail fuel.
John Beerbaum, Ashley County, representing forestry.
Sam Stuckey, Crittenden County, representing cotton.
David Wallace, Crittenden County, representing Arkansas seed dealers.
Bruce Offord, Lafayette County, representing forage.
Al Balls, Randolph County, representing fertilizer.
Reynold Meyer, representing Arkansas cattlemen. And we'll go around the room, let everyone introduce themselves.
Linda Alford, Lafayette County, East.
Mike Stage, Department of Ag. Scott Murray, Legacy Pest Control.
Tina Thurston, ESC.
Dickie Edmond, FMC. Lawson Priest, FMC. Billy Black, Department of Agriculture. Next Ward, Department of Agriculture.
Tracy Eads, Department of Agriculture.
Keith Griggs, Arkansas Crop Consultant Association. Zach Wellman, Arkansas Department of Agriculture.
Brandy Reynolds, Department of Agriculture.
Linda Lucky, Department of Agriculture. Renetta Robinson, Department of Agriculture.
Kristen Walter, Department of Agriculture.
Nick Solon, Department of Agriculture.
Emily Browder, Department of Agriculture.
Lee Gibson, Department of Agriculture.
Jason Norrisworthy, University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture.
Susie Nichols, Department of Agriculture.
Corey Seats, Department of Ag.
Very good. Thank y'all. Welcome to everyone that's a guest attending. We'll go ahead and jump right in. You've probably gotten a copy of the minutes. If you hadn't looked them over, take a minute to look them over, please. Our minutes from June 5th.
I make the motion to accept.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second. We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of June 5th as they are presented. I'm going to call on our Zoom people first. Sammy Angel.
Aye.
Ken Korth.
I don't think I vote on these.
You may not. Garrett Frost. And Matt Miles. Very good. All that are present here, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Very good. Okay, Dr. Ken Korth, I'm going to call on you for our pest control section report.
All right, thank you. So the pest control law change became effective on August 5th, 2025. So this change in the law will no longer require the board to approve the pest control program exam results after this meeting. So that's just to let you know, we won't be doing those any longer. There were no meetings of the pest control committee this quarter, so I don't have any committee meeting minutes to report on. What I would like to ask for is a motion to accept the pest control examination results that you should have received or you have in front of you for the months of May 2025 through August 5th, 2025.
Very good. We have a motion from Dr. Forth. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the examination reports from May 25 through August 5th of 25. All in favor and in this room, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And let's go to Zoom.
Aye.
I'm sorry. You're gonna have to announce who you are before you say aye. I know who you are, but
Sammy, aye.
Matt Miles,
Garrett Frost, aye.
all opposed? All right, hearing no opposition, that passes. Mr. George Duncan. Is there a pesticide section?
Do not have a report that we did not meet this time, Mr. Chairman, but I am going to ask Corey and Susie to provide an enforcement update. And also Dr. Jason Northworth, who's with us today, will be making a presentation on the herbicide canal.
Very good.
We're gonna switch that up a little bit. Dr. Northworthy is gonna go first. He's gonna give the board an update on Canali. Several of y'all have reached out to me regarding a Section 18. And Dr. Northworthy has a lot of research on the subject, so we're gonna go ahead and turn it over to you. You can these lights on off, Joseph. Right down. Make it all or nothing. Yeah, leave them up. Hold on. Which one might have to consult this? There you go.
Let's go away.
Okay.
Okay, I was asked to come in and to provide an overview of Canali today, as well as an update on the Section 18 request. And so I'm going to start off today by talking a little bit about Canali and the research that has been done on Canali. Obviously, rice is an extremely important crop to the state of Arkansas. Weed control is at the forefront when it comes to the issues that our rice growers are dealing with. So Canali, it's advanced on my slide here, but it didn't advance there, Brandy.
You have to be able to.
Hold on, y'all. Sorry, we haven't used this in a minute.
Oh,
Sorry, y'all got this working before y'all got here.
There you go.
Hold on.
Look at the end, just to make sure it works. Not good.
No, that's not. Sorry, y'all.
I think it's too fast to overlap.
you're just in the light.
Sorry about that, y'all.
2-minute delay. Okay. So, just out of curiosity, before I get started, who in here has heard of canola? Show of hands. Okay, so I've got a few of you, some of you have, some of you haven't. Some of you, rice may be important to you, others it may not be. But as I said a few moments ago, rice is an extremely important crop in the state of Arkansas. Weed control is really one of the largest challenges that a lot of our rice growers face. I talk all over the country about herbicide resistance, the herbicide resistance that our growers face here in Arkansas. We are dealing with major issues when it comes to barnyard grass, and Canali is going to be a herbicide that helps us with the control of barnyard grass. If I were to ask any of you in here that's knowledgeable about herbicides, when was the last time a new herbicide mode of action was discovered and commercialized in row crops? Does anyone want to take a guess? I've got a couple of FMC folks in the back that would know. Keith Driggs, when was the last time that a herbicide mode of action was discovered?
Whatever that product right there got labeled.
Command.
Okay, it actually would have been well before that in terms of new modes of action. I'm talking modes of action here in U.S. crops, okay? U.S. crops have been the HPPD herbicides. 1983, Callisto was discovered. Mesotrione was discovered. The HPPD chemistry was the last time that we had a mode of action discovered and commercialized in crops, a new mode of action. So folks, it's been a while, okay? It's been a while. This is actually a new herbicide side of action. So this is extremely novel. It's not a knockoff on anything that's out there. Basically, it's a pyrimidine biosynthesis inhibitor, and FMC is the one that has this compound here in the U.S. FMC will make this available in rice as Canali Complete. Canali Complete is the Canali herbicide, and you see here, my pointer here works here. So Canali is going to be sold as a co-pack where it's going to be a 1 gallon of Canali with 2.5 gallons of Command. If you're on a silt loam soil, that's going to allow you to treat approximately 30 acres per implement that we have here, per unit that we have here, is what that's going to equate to. So it will be a co-pack. There is no such thing as a standalone Canali product. It will only be sold as Canali Complete. In terms of use rates, Canali Complete, Canali on a silt loam soil will be 4.3 fluid ounces per acre. And the Command rate on that silt loam soil, when you pair these together, will be 10.75 fluid ounces. Now, any of you that know anything about rice, the 1X rate on a silt loam soil is 12.8 fluid ounces of Command. Okay, so we're going to be lower than the 1X rate on the Command. I have no idea where this is going to be priced. I've asked FMC. They say it will be priced favorably for the grower. I have no idea what that means. What's interesting is a lot of times when we submit a Section 18, we have that price information available to us at the time of submitting a Section 18. I have no idea what that price is going to be. I actually got online yesterday and I looked to see what Command is selling for. As of yesterday through FBN, I could go purchase Command for $56.49 a gallon. If you do the math on that, the Command portion of the Canali Complete is going to be about $4.74. Okay, so based on that, I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic that this is going to come in maybe a $10 treatment, maybe less than $10. I have no idea where it's going to be, but hopefully, considering the fact that again, Command's $4.74 there, hopefully it's not going to be considerably higher than that. When we take a look at the clay soil, the use rate will be 8.6 fluid ounces. That's going to be the maximum annual use rate. And again, that'll be paired with Command at 21.5. I also want to note, on a silt loam soil, you can spray it twice. You can spray it once at planting, and then you can come back in and spray it post-emergence. Folks, I want everyone to realize this is mainly a residual herbicide. Okay, I'm going to show you some data here in a few moments. It is not an effective post-emergence herbicide. If weeds come up, you're not going to effectively kill them with this material. So with that, I want to turn and I want to take a look at some of the data. Mason Kastner, who received his PhD under me, worked for 3 years on teflupyrolimet, which again is the canali herbicide that I'm talking about today. And this is a summary of his data. Mason is currently working for FMC following completion of his PhD. So one question we had was, how effective is pre-emergence applied canali on barnyard grass? This is research that was conducted at Stuttgart. They're on the research station on a silt loam soil. The level of control here is on the y-axis from 0 to 100%. This is canali by itself. I told you it's not going to be sold by itself, but this is canali by itself. This is a 1X rated command. Facet, canali complete is going to be the combination of canali plus command. And then obey we ran as a standard. For those of you that aren't familiar with obey is a mixture of facet and command. FMC has actually discontinued obey. It's my understanding it is not available today, but we ran that as a standard. For those of you that don't necessarily understand statistics, I'll just say these letters up here, these letters are used for significant differences. So if you see an A here at the top, A means that this is the highest level of control that we receive. Anything else that has an A in it is going to be similar. Anything that doesn't have the same letter as what we see with that A is going to be different. And so what you're going to see here is command and facet provided inferior levels of barnyard grass control, but obey and canali complete were essentially the same. Okay. They were very effective, 97% over a 7-week period. Over a 7-week period, we averaged 97% control of barnyard grass on a silt loam soil. I think most folks would be happy to see that.
Was that one application?
That is one application. So one application at planting. Okay, so on a clay soil, it was slightly less effective. Anyone that's been on a clay soil knows that clay soils shrink, they swell, you have weeds that emerge through those cracks. That is a major challenge. The other thing that happens on a clay soil, a lot of herbicides, residual herbicides, you have to spray twice the rate on a clay soil because you're tying up or you're binding those herbicides to those clay particles. And so what we see here, somewhat similar to what we saw on the other ones, just slightly less, but obey was numerically the highest. It was statistically similar to canali complete. You got out here on the left-hand side, canali by itself. But canali complete over a 7-week period averaged 91% barnyard grass control. So it wasn't perfect, but it was a high level of residual barnyard grass control. So then the question may come, do barnyard grass populations differ in sensitivity? I told you I do a tremendous amount of work across the state. I actually have a herbicide resistant screening program where growers, consultants across the state of Arkansas send in barnyard grass samples, weedy rice, pigweed, you name it, they send it in. I screen those. And so what I did is I took populations that were resistant to a wide assortment of herbicides, and I wanted to answer the question, can I control those with canali? And so what you have here is on the right-hand side of the screen, all of these pots were sprayed with canali at a 1X rate on a silt loam soil. Those on the left were not sprayed. So that's just as they're untreated. And so we can match up those populations and you see overall a pretty high level of control. Now, what you also notice with canali, if you look at the red arrow here, you're going to see that generally speaking, the barnyard grass emerges, but it doesn't grow much following emergence. So with that, if we then turn to the control data, and here's all the sessions or populations on the x-axis and the level of control. And we had 9 replications of this. We averaged 95% control of these wide assortment of population, 95% control of barnyard grass. The lowest we had was with population 103. We had 88% control of it. 128, we had 100%. So it ranged from a high of 100 to a low of 88 with an average of 95% control. Really, the take home here was that there was minimal variability. Yes, there was some variability, but there was minimal variability in the response of these barnyard grass populations to the herbicide. So that's very, very positive. Now, in terms of survival, as I said a few moments ago, we do have plants that have a tendency to emerge. And when Mason collected this data, he saw with population 92, I think about 85% survival, 22 had the lowest percent. So the survival percentage was 28% survival is what he had at the end of, I think this was a 4-week assessment. 4 weeks after treatment, he counted the number of barnyard grass plants that he had, and there was some survival. So a question that you'd probably think around rice is, especially a residual herbicide, is how important is moisture? How important is moisture to make sure that that herbicide is actually going to work? And so we took a silt loam soil, we took a clay soil. I'm going to show you the clay soil here. The results really weren't vastly different. This is a 1x rate of canali on the right-hand side. That's 100% of field capacity. 100% of field capacity. The center is 75%. The left-hand side is 50%. And so what you notice here is soil moisture is extremely, extremely important when it comes to this herbicide. Now, the beauty of rice is hopefully you can bring moisture to that herbicide and you can ensure that it has moist conditions or wet conditions to just maximize the efficacy of the material. So what would be expected? What are the expected symptoms? At times, you will see some plants come through this. The 2 plants that I have here are escaped barnyard grass plants. These are actually pulled out of research plots. Again, I think Mason pulled this out and took this picture, my former student. This is the non-treated plant on the left-hand side. A non-treated plant. On the right-hand side, you see a plant that actually came through the herbicide. Does anyone notice a major difference between those plants? Okay, one has roots, the other one does not have roots. Okay, basically what you see here is tremendous root pruning. So even though this plant is alive, I would contend probably from a nutrient moisture uptake capacity, this plant has a lot less competitive ability than would the plant that's to the left of it. Now, I also just want to point out here, now this is something else. This plant here was capable of producing seed. I've got some work that I've just recently initiated. We're in the process now of trying to understand, okay, these plants that do produce seed, are they going to increase the risk of resistance to canali, a new mode of action? That's something we're hoping to answer in the coming years. So you see reduced root growth. You see the seed head. One thing is for certain here, this herbicide is not going to take away, just completely take our use of post-emergence chemistry. Okay, hopefully it's going to minimize the pressure we have out there, that reduce the number of barnyard grass plants in the field, but we need an effective post-emergence option still, even with this herbicide. So what kind of activity do we see from a post-emergent standpoint? And folks, I want everyone to understand this is in the greenhouse under optimum conditions, spraying 1 2-leaf grass. In a field, you're spraying hardened off plants. You wouldn't get nearly the level of control, but even at this, what you see here is the response. For the most part, there wasn't a lot of variability across all these populations, and we didn't kill any of them post-emergence. For the most part, we didn't kill any of them with the material. Did we have some activity? Yeah, we had some activity. This is not a post-emergence herbicide. So one question you might have then is, well, what about sensitivity of rice cultivars? We have some herbicides out there. Loyant is one that's labeled in rice. Hybrid rice is more sensitive to Loyant than is inbred rice. And so the question is, do we see damage here? I ran 12 different cultivars that are commonly planted in the state of Arkansas over a 3-year period. We sprayed these pre-emergence, so where it says 1x pre, that's a label rate of the herbicide. 2X pre is gonna be a 2X rate of the herbicide, and then we sprayed it post-emergence at a 1 and 2X rate of the herbicide. And the takeaway on this was we saw no damage to the crop, regardless of cultivar. We saw no injury. We saw no yield impact. So it is a very, very safe product to use, the Canali. And I'm talking Canali here. I'm not talking Canali Complete. This is going to be Canali is what we're evaluating here. So will Canali carry over to crops? This is a study that I did at Stuttgart where I took large bays of rice, let's say large from a research standpoint, and I placed a 1X, a 2X, and then the none. If you see none, that just means it had no Canali on it. We sprayed these bays with the various herbicides, and I wasn't trying to do anything other than to set up what the next year would look like. So we sprayed these, we came back the next year, and then we planted into these bays where we had rice the previous year. When I planted, so the previous year, this is kind of turned around on the screen. These would be the bay. So where you see 2X, this is the bay. This is the bay right here. I don't know why that's not on the drag straight. But this would be the bay. The 2X, the none, the 1X, those were bays of rice the previous year. The brown would be the levy. And so what we did is we planted sunflower. We stripped sunflower across this, cotton, soybean, grain sorghum, and corn, with the idea, would this herbicide carry over, even at a 2X rate, would it carry over and injure these crops? And folks, we saw absolutely no response. Okay, so very, very safe from a carryover. We did a tremendous amount of additional research on this and saw no issues. Well, then you might say, well, if this stuff is coming out of an airplane, how sensitive will adjacent crops be to the herbicide? We took very, very high label high rates. I think we went up to a 1/10X rate, which is a very high drift rate. We sprayed it over the various crops. This is grain sorghum, non-treated on the left. On the right is Canali. That's going to be the highest rated Canali that we evaluated. No response. Cotton, same thing, no response. Corn, no response. Soybean, no response. As I said earlier, this herbicide really does not provide much post-emergence activity. So here's what I'm going to tell you. I will tell you that from a drift standpoint, the clomazone component, which we spray on 98, 99% of the rice acres, the clomazone component has much more risk for damaging a crop than does the Canali component. I don't see any risk associated with the Canali component of Canali Complete. So when I summarize really from a research standpoint, what I've seen over the last several years, this herbicide, Canali, and I'm talking Canali here, not Canali Complete. Canali is the most active on barnyard grass and springle tops. Folks, this is a narrow spectrum herbicide. I want everyone also to understand that. It is good on barnyard grass. It is good on springle top. This is not a herbicide that's going to have 10, 15, 20 weeds listed on the label. You're not going to see that. I actually have a copy of the label. There are minimal differences that we see in sensitivity among the barnyard grass populations, but I'm going to come back to the pre-emergence results. There's slight differences that we do see. This is not a standalone herbicide. It is less effective than Command, Clomazone on fall panicum, broadleaf signal grass, and goosegrass. It concerns me a little bit when I have a co-pack because a grower is going to have a tendency to want to take that co-pack and split them apart and say, I'm going to put the Canali down at planting and I'm going to save that Command and I'm going to come back over the top of 2-leaf, 3-leaf rice with the Command. And I will assure you that if growers do that here in the state of Arkansas, they're not going to like what they see because we have other weeds out there. This is not a broad spectrum grass material. From a post standpoint, it really needs to be mixed with an effective post grass material. This herbicide has no broadleaf activity. It has no sedge activity. The sedges, right now in the state of Arkansas, the sedges are the second most problematic weeds that we have across the state in rice. This herbicide is not going to help us with those. It's not going to do anything for the ALS resistance that we have in those sedges. Propanil looks good as a tank mixture. We've evaluated a wide assortment of other herbicides that look good as a tank mixture. This herbicide needs to be part of a multiple pass system, and that's what really gets me excited about the silt loam soil. Silt loam, I can put it out at planting, come back before it breaks, and I can put it out again. I get 4.3 followed by 4.3. I can make 2 applications. I don't have that option on a clay soil at this time. 8.6 is the maximum annual use rate, but it's going to have to be integrated into a multi-pass system. I've already indicated it is extremely flexible from a plant back standpoint. There's little risk of off-target movement of this herbicide. All rice cultivars tested so far have been tolerant. It is a much better pre-emergence than it is a post-emergence material. It likes water. At times, I have seen reach back with this herbicide. In other words, if we have seedling grass and we flood up on it, barnyard grass and springle top, I have seen it reach back and actually kill those once that water has been established. From a symptomology standpoint, it looks a lot like the yellow herbicides, prowl, treflan, okay? It's going to cause that clubbed rooting, that pruning of roots that we see with the standard yellow herbicides. So that's basically what I'm going to say from a research standpoint. Now I want to talk about the Section 18. I have said for the last 3-4 years, I was extremely supportive of the Section 18 for this product. The first opportunity I told FMC, Dickie Edmonds sitting back there, and I've said time and time again, I want this product. We need this product in the state of Arkansas due to the level of resistance that we have. I met with FMC Regulatory. I had a Zoom meeting with FMC Regulatory on March the 14th of this year. Again, reiterated my support for a Section 18. I also said at that point, once the summer got through, I would sit down and I would write that Section 18. Obviously, we've got a lot going on in April, May, and June with research plots, visiting with growers across the state. And so on August the 15th, I started preparing that Section 18. The day that I started preparing that Section 18, I contacted FMC Regulatory asking for support of the Section 18. On August the 25th, that Section 18 was completed. There's Section 18. It was completed on August the 25th. I emailed that Section 18 to FMC. And at that point, I notified them I had completed all of my portion of the Section 18. It takes additional information other than what I can generate. I have to go and justify the cause for a Section 18, which we'll go through in a second, how I justified that cause. We've got to have an economic assessment. Economic damages have to be in a Section 18. You have to have literature that's backing that up. This is not something you just sit down and you casually write in an hour or two. The Section 18 was put together August 25th. It was emailed to FMC asking for them to complete their portion of the Section 18. On September the 4th, Corey, Susie, and Brandy and I met with Jennifer Gaines and Eric Bonenblust, sure I'm butchering his name, from the EPA to discuss a Section 18. We wanted to make sure how likely is it that we can get this thing pushed through Again, the document's not ready at this point. There's portions of it lacking. At that meeting, we were told that the risk assessment must be completed before submission. That once the Section 18 is filed, the EPA will provide a notice of receipt of that Section 18, and they will follow that with a 15 to 30-day comment period. They said they were hoping they could get away with a 15, but the standard is a 15 to 30-day comment period. Now, the more comments they get, the better off the state of Arkansas will be. Now, what they said, and Corey, Brandy, and Susie are here to vouch for this, it's not going to move you up in the queue, but you can get a tremendous number of letters written. Actually, Eric threw out the number 600, not sure where that came from, but he mentioned the word 600. He said, if you can get a tremendous number of letters, it will hold your place in the queue. In other words, if there's not a lot of support, if there's not a lot of letters coming into the EPA, someone may jump you in the process. They've got a lot of paperwork that they're processing. But he said numbers were important in terms of holding your place. The submission itself will trigger the environmental species assessment. Environmental species assessment. That's going to occur once the submission happens. It's not going to occur prior to that. But again, the risk assessment has to be completed. He said that a typical Section 18 review is 60 days. He said, however, this is not a typical Section 18 review. He said this review will be longer than 60 days. We're talking a new herbicide mode of action, something that they have never seen before. Now, I want to lay the groundwork for the Canali Section 18 request. The request is that Canali be available to all rice-producing counties in the state of Arkansas. Now, the reason I say all rice-producing counties, we don't need that in Washington County, okay? We don't need that in counties that they're not producing rice. And the importance of this is from an Endangered Species Act, hopefully it will speed up the process by limiting it to rice-producing counties. I went back and 2023 and 2024, I looked at my barnyard grass samples, and this is all laid out in the Section 18. And I looked at it before that. In 2023 and 2024, 75% of the samples that came into my office tested positive for propanil resistance, stem resistance, 61% to new path. I tell folks, if you're growing Clearfield rice today and you think you're killing barnyard grass with new path or full page rice, you need to have your head examined. 52% were resistant to facet, 37% to regiment, 27% were resistant to either clincher or rice star. One year I used clincher, the other year I used rice star, and 3% were resistant to command. Now here's what really I think is one of the most important components of this. I went back and looked at what we published, my group published from 2006 to 2017, and 27% of the barnyard grass samples that came into my program were resistant to 2 or more herbicides. In 23 and 24, 70% of the samples were resistant to 2 or more herbicides. Folks, there were samples out there resistant to 4, 5 herbicides. Now, the reason that's important is it's because if barnyard grass comes out of the ground on those fields, it is highly, highly unlikely that you will ever kill it. We did a survey, and growers are spending, if growers cannot kill it with a pre-emergence herbicide and it emerges, they're spending well over $100, a lot of growers in this state, just trying to control barnyard grass, and a lot of those are failing. Okay? So I think that in itself is the justification. So how do I come to my numbers? Because I've got to justify numbers in a Section 18. According to Jared Harkey, I also called several seed dealers in the state of Arkansas. Everyone came up, 1.3 was the common number, 1.3 million acres of rice projected for the 2026 growing season. So that's where we start. 30% of the acres in Arkansas have either Max Ace or Provisio rice on it, which means that we spray quizalofop. In all the work that I have done, I have only found one quizalofop resistant barnyard grass sample. So I'm going to make the assumption today, quizalofop still kills barnyard grass. So if you're a Provisio or Max Ace grower, you don't necessarily have to have cannoli as it relates to a Section 18. Would it benefit you? Absolutely, it would benefit you, but it doesn't justify a Section 18. It doesn't meet the requirements for a Section 18. However, conventional clearfield or full-page rice are grown on 70% of the acres, which would be 910,000 acres. If we take that 70%, conservatively, I assumed 60% of these acres will have economically damaging multi-resistant barnyard grass on them. I didn't take the 70, I took 60. And so if I take 60% of those acres, that equates to 546,000 acres of rice here in Arkansas that I think I can justify a Section 18 on. Also in that Section 18, I have to provide a start date and a stop date for application. There will be rice in South Arkansas seeded as early as possibly March the 15th. And so I said the product needs to be available for March the 15th. I've got to have a stop date on that Section 18. And I placed a stop date of June the 15th. Now, having said that, that Section 18 is still not complete. I told you on August the 25th, I sent it to FMC. It's still not complete. I still need an establishment number. I still need restrictions, use precautions, and requirements. I still need progress towards registration. FMC's got to provide that within the Section 18. The risk assessment that we talked about earlier, residues, risk information has to be in the Section 18. I must have a letter of support from FMC. This information is not in my possession at this time, and hence the Section 18 is sitting and waiting. In addition to that, I received notification on September the 17th, which was last week. FMC notified me that they plan to submit an antimicrobial resistance report in mid to late October. There's some issues around this compound, considering the fact that it may have some microbial activity. Okay, and so with that, they're having to put together an antimicrobial resistance report in addition to all the other information that is necessary. And they said that's going to come mid to late October is when they're hoping to submit that again to the agency. As of now, October the 6th, which is in 2 weeks, I believe, myself, Corey, Brandy, Susie, and FMC Regulatory, we will get together again on a Zoom call and try to meet and talk. Where are we today and how does this thing move forward? Okay, folks, I can tell you time is of the essence. When actually I mentioned a Section 18 to Eric, he chuckled on the phone call and wanted to know was that 26 or 2027. Okay, because he said these things don't happen overnight, especially for a new mode of action. That's where we are. With that, I'll open the floor to questions. Any questions about cannoli, the Section 18, cannoli complete, anything I can answer, I'd be more than happy to answer. But folks, that's where we stand.
I know FMC's in the room. Are they going to say anything or about where they stand with where they are in the price and the odds of this getting through?
Was the price the question or?
Well, just kind of, I mean, But Dr. Norsworthy kind of left it in FMC's court, if I'm hearing it right. And kind of where y'all stand on bringing this, doing what has to be done to try to get this product out in 2026. Obviously, we need it desperately.
And there's some background stuff being done, as Dick commented, if you need to, with our regulatory group. The regulatory group has had multiple meetings with the EPA to discuss this Section 18 process. Obviously, what Dr. Norsworthy said about the environmental risk assessment needing to be complete is factual. That does need to be complete before the EPA can render a decision on a Section 18. So that's part of the play, is we're waiting for the EPA to render a decision on environmental risk assessment before these submissions of Section 18s come into this, because they would be an automatic.
Dr. Norsworthy mentioned earlier in his program that normally you have a price to the product.
We've got some idea.
Some idea. When are y'all prepared?
George, I don't think it's fair. I mean, we really don't know the price.
Okay.
And, I will also point out that this was submitted in November of 23 to EPA, so they've had this product almost 2 years.
Good.
November will be 2 years that the submission was made, so we're continuing to push and do things on our end, is because we know how bad the growers need this product, certainly. And we appreciate all Dr. Norsworthy's done and everything he's doing to get this done.
And when you say submitted, you mean for your regular registration?
The actual label, the request for submission or for registration was submitted in November of 23. They gave us a period date, which is the date that they would anticipate registration of 3 years. So we're already 2 years into it.
What do you feel like the odds are?
Well, I've been in this business about 40 years, and I've had multiple Section 18s, and I've never had someone not get their feelings hurt, So we're optimistic, but at the same time, it's gonna be very challenging, and we're doing all we can do on our end.
Where are you, because you said you submitted it in 23 and they estimated you'd have it in 26. Where are you in that process of your regular registration?
Well, again, I don't know that. I'm here in Arkansas in field development and doing the research and working with Dr. Norsworthy. So our regulatory group would be better suited to answer that question. But there's a lot of back and forth going on between FMC and the EPA. They're trying to work through this. The date of 3 years would be November of 26.
Mm-hmm.
So then you would anticipate
Having for 27.
It launch in 27. Section 18
Would be
for this year would speed that up for these acres that Dr. Norsworthy is requesting, if we can come to terms and everything gets submitted and approved. And we realize it's a very tight timeline. Then you got to throw in the production component of it, because we're not going to produce 500,000 acres worth of product until we're somewhat certain we're going to have a Section 18. Because nobody would want to sit on that much inventory for, 12 to 18 months, So there's a lot of going on, a lot of back and forth. We'll just have to keep working. Lawson and I are pushing our people to, you got to get this, we got to get this. We know how important it is. We know how bad growers need it. So we're doing everything we can do, and it's just got to all fall into place and work out, and I really can't give you what I think the chances are. I just know it's a challenge, and we're doing everything we can do because we know how important it is.
Okay.
Thanks.
Dr. Norsworthy, thank you very much. That was an outstanding presentation. Thanks for your work.
You got something else?
I've got enforcement actions. I was going to ask if I could take a 5-minute bathroom break just in case.
Sure, we can do that.
Historically, enforcement actions can be real simple or lengthy, so I was going to see if we can take a 5-minute break.
We can do that. We'll take a 5-minute break.
Recording stopped.
A lot of corn, you know, he done some sort of.
Yeah, some they go back in.
Recording in progress.
Very good. We'll get back started again. I think we were with Susie, talking about some enforcement actions.
Yes, at the last board meeting, we brought to the board several enforcement actions that we were proposing settling for warnings. The board asked that we give an attorney general's opinion. We were settling these outside of what we typically settle for. Turn that over to Corey to give y'all an update on that now. And Corey is our new director. Y'all probably figured that out by now.
Who is this guy once again? So, based upon the request of the board at our last meeting, the department did contact the Attorney General's office and requested that they review these enforcement actions that have been tabled from the June 5th meeting. After receiving our request, the Attorney General's office did review the enforcement actions. They reviewed Arkansas law and they reviewed this board's rules. At the conclusion of the review, well, let me back up. In the process of the review, we had a face-to-face meeting with them, answered all of their questions. They reviewed, again, like I said, law and the rules. And at the conclusion, their opinion was that these proposed recommended enforcement actions that we presented to the board do not violate Arkansas law or the rules of the Arkansas State Plant Board.
Corey, did they give that to us in writing?
They did not provide it in writing. It was explained to me that Attorney General opinions are issued in writing. Typically before an action takes place, we want to do this. Is it okay? Because our process was already in the process, so to speak, that it was outside of when they would normally issue a formal written opinion. But this was, again, both in person and follow-up telephone calls.
But no email or, I mean, obviously nothing on letterhead.
Correct.
Does it concern you at all, Corey, that they didn't put it in writing?
Based upon the individuals I talked to, it does not.
So that being said, we tabled enforcement actions. You should have them in your packet. There's 212 enforcement actions that we're proposing to settle for warnings. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to the board to approve these. I can go through them one by one. We typically do approve these in batches. These are all warnings. Got questions?
Susie, do we have to recuse ourselves from any of these?
If you think you need to, you can. And I can kind of make a note of it. I can do these by page if it's easier. If anybody.
One of them. I mean, how close do you have to be to somebody? Because just, a neighbor farmer, is that really considered a recusal request or just?
That's
typically recusal is going to be something personal, so I can't say you should. Well, I guess in some cases you can say you should recuse, but it's kind of your decision.
Right, I got
you. Jet to us taking them all as a batch, and if you need to refuse, you can refuse on simply the ones that you do. I don't know that we want to go through page by page. We have read these. Is there any objection to that? Taking it in a batch?
We can do a page, however you want to do it. There's only just 2 pages there that I'd have to refuse.
So what we're doing is taking the fine off and just putting a warning. Is that right?
Yes.
I do think it's a mistake.
And I think we may have talked about this last time. So if there is another violation by these people, will that be considered a second violation because they have a warning? Will that previous violation be?
Yes. And this does not clear the complete log jam, as I like to call it. This is being done up through 2021.
Right.
I will have some additional 2021s and in the future, along with 22, 23, 24, 25, but up through 21 is when we're issuing the warrants.
Why aren't these segregated out by the penalty level? Why group the level 1 with the level 4?
So, I'm sorry.
Why aren't these segregated out on the penalty level?
I think they're chronological, maybe.
But it's all, they were voting on all of it as one.
Basically, these are listed by individual.
Yeah.
And what the proposal is to accept all the warnings in one vote.
I know, but my question is, why couldn't you segregate out a level 1 minor to a level 4 major?
We can. Well, I'm taking one by one.
We can, I'm trying to find an easy way to explain this. They're currently grouped by individual, so it's case file, by case file, correctly?
It's by case file and then by individual.
Yes, so
And then some individuals will have a level 2 and a level 4.
correct.
And the proposal here is that regardless of level, that they receive a one.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I don't agree with this.
I mean, I understand your question. I don't think I can separate them quickly up there for y'all. I'd have to go back.
And Susan, what's the difference in egregious and major?
Egregious.
Yeah.
It's basically eligible for the $25,000 fine, up to 25,000. It was implemented after a certain date. Dicamba and any new technologies could be considered egregious if it wasn't used in accordance with federal and or state laws or rules. Major typically is anything concerning human health or safety or something giving somebody a competitive advantage, like not having a license, or they've moved up in the penalty matrix. Like a level 1 typically is minor with some caveats. After level 1, it can go to level 2 major, but each violation is different on that. I gave you a very confusing.
It's confusing stuff.
And to rehab, I mean, if I'm recalling correctly, this is an option for us to do that. The other option is to have a hearing on each one of these. Is that correct? We're gonna have to have hearings on each one of these.
No, just the individuals who requested hearings. Some of these individuals may not have requested a hearing or contested the original proposed penalty or violation.
And as a percentage, do you have any idea of who requested a hearing? Is it half of this list? Is it 3 people out of the list?
I think it was a large number of this list.
Yeah, and also these are individual names. Is that who is actually? It's not an entity.
Correct.
Okay.
Because a person has to hold the license.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure.
So just to cover it again. And I don't mind if there's an objection. Well, hang on, you had your hand up.
Well, Susie might have answered it, and I guess for us that weren't on this board at that time, I know the time frame this has occurred, but I think what Robin was asking, you see some minor, level 1 minor, and then we have egregious, and I'm not picking anyone out, but would that the assumption be that the level 1 minor would not have wanted to settle? I'm assuming that might have been a $400 fine, and I'm making a wrong assumption, and I apologize. I'm getting brought up to speed on this.
Typically, a level 1 minor is most of the time a warning letter. Or a low level fine, $200 to $600, $200 to $600, but for reasons unknown to me, they may have contested that violation. And so these are being offered as warnings, just as a totality of all of them.
Okay. And I think it was asked earlier, so if this were to be enacted and approved by the board, would there be, they've received a warning letter, so a guy that would he be on record as a level 1? So if there's another occurrence, is everyone viewed the same? Or if I have prior offenses and I've robbed 3 liquor stores and I do another one, I suppose I'm going to be in more trouble than the guy who only did it the first time. I don't know if I made a correct analogy, but someone who had an egregious offense
Right.
How will that be viewed if something else occurs?
They're not getting reset to zero.
Okay.
And that's my question. They're not being reset to zero. They still have a level 2 egregious on their record. And if they do something else, that will be taken into account going forward.
But just to kind of do a little education here, violations drop off after 3 years. So
Okay.
3 years from the date it occurred. So if you had a violation in 2017, even if we were just now approving it, it dropped off 3 years after the date it occurred.
Okay. Was that a state law or is that in our handbook? How's that?
It's laid out in our penalty matrix, and it's like violation. So if you got a drift one, buffer zone, and record keeping, each one of those would be level 1s, and then each drop off 4 years after the date they occurred.
Even in the egregious, same for the egregious. So most of these wouldn't count.
None of them.
Yeah.
So
They would get no stuff.
different names or all.
No, I have
You know,
to,
it's like 5 pages for it.
but no, I have to sit here and count each name. I mean, I can't give it to you.
My goat math on that came up to about 64. So it's like, out of all this, there's like, probably between 60 and 70 individuals.
Yeah.
We have to deal with, just to conceptualize if we don't vote for it, that's what we're looking at. Then you'd want to further stratify that by, I can't imagine someone wanting hearing on level 1. Some of these were just level 1s, so.
We have people request hearings for level 1s through a lawyer.
I'd like to clarify for the record, I'm not comparing any of those on there to someone that would have robbed a liquor store. And it's not personal. it's for my understanding, and I appreciate it. I'm clear on that now. Thank you.
And again, we are just offering the violations for the year 2021.
And those started in 17 or so?
Yes.
April 11th, 2017. Yeah.
Susie, how do you handle the data violations with unknown? If it drops off in 3 years, how do you?
But basically, the date we investigate. So if we go out and an individual, we can clearly see they sprayed a specific herbicide. We have all the evidence. We feel confident. We issue the violation. If they won't provide us records or cooperate, we use the date that we were out there as the date of the violation.
Okay, why isn't that stated on here?
Honestly, I've never really been asked. It's kind of been more of an internal monitoring thing. That is something I can correct going forward. That was, I can't see the confusion with that now, Robin. I do apologize.
No, that's okay. It's a moot point.
It was basically saying we don't know when it actually occurred, but when we do enter the violation in our database, we look at the date we investigated.
I guess we
So
could
for
say,
example, if at the time, if we had a May 30th cutoff, you go out there on July 1 and you see it's just been sprayed, doesn't matter to you whether it got sprayed on June 28th or the 30th, it was after the May 30th cutoff.
Correct. And a lot of people aren't going to admit to doing something illegal, so, we got to kind of work with that.
Do y'all not think this will make any difference with what's coming in the future that comes before us again?
I will say Corey and I we've been working a combination of tax files. I'm going to kind of just give y'all a little brief update. We've been trying to clear what I call this log jam for various reasons, where individuals ask for an attorney. And we've also got some cases where these individuals were not involved, like in maybe year 22, 23, 24. We are working those as we normally would at the base fine level. So meaning, if a level 1 for a record keeping was $200 to $600, staff has the authority to send them out at $400. Obviously, the board can change any of those amounts once we get them finalized, but we are frantically working 2 ends of the enforcement spectrum. This log jam and everything that doesn't involve these individuals in the log jam. And we are proceeding as normal with those. Again, it's too soon to tell if I'm going to get pushback on them or not, because we just now are really starting to get those sent out, and people have about 30 days to contest those.
So you've got, if I'm hearing you right, you've got some of these same people that are after 21.
Possibly.
Good. Okay. Any other questions? And I don't mind if we deal with them one by one. I think we can take them as we've been taking our other violations. On our debt.
Yeah, one question, sorry about that. So there's some of these that don't have warning listed out here. All those are soon to be warning. They just looks like it.
They hadn't agreed. That is.
What are we proposing on that one that doesn't have warnings?
I don't think we just had.
Oh, so what they do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're.
191.
Those are violations.
Yeah.
If you look, this box is one warning
Yeah.
for all of those areas.
I got you.
But you've got, I think what you're saying,
Yeah.
like, for example, 191, Mr. Michael Young.
Exactly.
Has nothing on one of his.
Those are supposed to be combined, we just
Okay.
accidentally left that
That's okay.
line
I just want to
in there.
clarify that.
I apologize, y'all.
That we weren't, that those guys.
I thought.
So-
But I think.
We didn't merge the set. That's
Yeah.
on us.
Okay. So, again, is there any objection? If there is, that's fine, we'll have to figure what to do. Take them one by one, most likely, to taking these as a group. And either approving or disapproving.
Good is good.
Very good, is there a motion?
I'm so moved.
I second. So you're moving that we
Do the whole thing.
they do the whole thing?
Real quick. Okay. All the warnings go through 212. There is a worker protection violation at number 213. It has nothing to do with his log jam,
Okay.
but I have no problem with y'all. You'd like to include it in this also. It's a true warning letter.
So let's make sure we have a good motion that we're gonna handle items 1 through items 213. Mr. Bruce?
That is so, yeah.
That's second. Okay, and we're gonna handle all these, all in favor of handling these as a group from item 1 to item 213. Say aye.
Yeah.
I refuse.
Sir.
I refuse.
Okay. Any opposed?
Opposed.
We have one opposed online. Sammy? Do you agree?
Favor.
Or do you,
I agree.
Matt?
100% agree.
Very good. Garrett?
Agree with handling as a group.
Thank you. Okay, looks like we will be handling them as a group. Is there a motion on how to handle them? That we want to approve or disapprove? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I want to ask a question. I'm not making a recommendation. Is there and that would be for the staff, would there be a subcategorization of that? Is there something that is just blatantly that you feel like might
Should not be.
require a small fine or what have you? I don't know that. I'm just asking. I guess that perhaps should have been asked prior to this, but I'm not opposed to the motion at all. I just, would there be a level in there?
Susie, I think it's a question.
What I can tell y'all is from my standpoint, when a case file comes in, staff is bound by what's called the base fine. So whatever fine is determined was a violation and what we call a penalty, we're allowed to go to the mid-level of that. So that's typically what Lee Gibson proposes. I review it, I give it to Corey. Now, we have had some precedent changes over the years for unusual circumstances. Again, those things the boards would have to change. I will say egregious is typically up to 25,000. Half of that's what 12.5. I can't tell you if I personally think these should be changed or not. All I can tell you is what we are authorized as staff to do is the base fine.
And if we decide to try to collect these, this is all we would be doing is setting ourselves up to ask for payment. That doesn't mean we get it, because I recall, we still have some stuff we're trying to get on some fines, is that right?
Correct. If we reject these warnings, and Corey can step in here if I'm correct, these individuals would not automatically owe the amount we previously offered. They would have the option for a hearing if requested. This was a counter offer. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Okay. To at least get us to something that y'all can handle from 22 going forward.
We will handle whatever y'all say.
I understand, but obviously we hadn't handled these from 2017 and we're behind.
And that was gonna be one of my comments, it's a long time ago, and of course I sat on the board for most of these. Just the ability to accomplish catching up on all of this is, I would say, is
We can do it.
near impossible though.
No, we've got a goal in mind. Again, what y'all are seeing, staff may have done the work years ago. I'd like to stress that. So when something is sent out and individuals start testing it, and there's various levels of contesting it, or attorneys get involved, that's what's caused a lot of this current law there. So the work or the actual case files, the investigation, inspectors and pesticide staff had done, we've had this completed for a while.
So I was under the impression, or maybe feeling like it was too difficult to accomplish. Is part of the reason for.
We have a goal of spring, April-ish. Oh, okay, sorry.
If you, I think that's what he's talking about. If you add these back into your.
It would just depend on any pushback we got of individuals wanting hearings,
Number of them had already requested.
yes, so that.
Start scheduling hearings.
Well, what we are voting on.
Yes.
Is a motion to vote on them as a whole, not the vote itself.
No, we've already voted on the motion and that's passed, that we're gonna handle them as a group. Items 1 through 213. So that's done.
Got it.
But if we're going to do something, we've got to have a motion of what to do with that group. And we do not currently have a motion of what to do with this 213 item. Whether to approve them or say we're we're not going to approve them and send it back to staff to.
But each one where it says the warning, they have agreed to accept the warning letter.
Yes.
I mean, y'all have been in contact with them.
Yes, the individuals on this list have agreed.
So it essentially starts over if we reject that.
Right.
Which is standard to what we've been doing on any other violation. Staff makes the offer and then staff comes to us and says, okay, we've gotten them to agree to this. If that's okay with y'all, this is what we'll do. If not, we'll do something different. I don't think that's any different than what we normally do.
And for the most part, the board has gone with staff's recommendation.
That's right. There've been a couple that staff, I think we've had some people come and speak on some hearings, and it may not have been pesticide, it may have been in some stations that were something a little bit different,
But has it been commonplace on egregious violations to give a warning letter? I mean, I don't know, I haven't been here that long.
So I think, like, I was around for a lot of this too, and it was hand-to-hand combat on this egregious, and it was kind of a line that was drawn, was, you know, you can stomach a $400 fine, can you stomach $25,000 fine?
Yeah, it's pretty substantial.
Does that start?
It's a pretty substantial change.
Does that change?
Yeah, and that's one, we got these egregious violations, we're treating just like the minor violations. It just.
So I think that for my part, I mean, I kind of want to support staff in it, obviously, and that's the reason I think and vote on it up or down as a proposal. I mean, I'm probably personally a down in that because I think maybe there's the effort of the further stratification that could be done of these different violations. And I go back, there's 64 people on the list. I think there's about 37 people who are egregious. You know, maybe that's, I don't know what that can have. I hate to, after, and I was on the, I mean, I was a pro Dicamba person, But again, when we said this is the rules and that we're gonna stick it, for lack of a better word, we're gonna really make a firm penalty for not following the rule. I just have a hard time backing away from that egregious level. And it's just, yeah.
And we have issued egregious violations in the past for 12.5, some for 6,000, some for 3,125. I think it depended on various circumstances. If they've had a violation in the past, if they came in for an info hearing, they were cooperative, we were able to keep cutting it in half. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you how many of those y'all had approved for those various amounts.
I did recall that we did that, where if they were cooperative, admitted it, that immediately at least cut it in half.
Yeah, that's my recalling that seemed like you'd cut it in half and if, or maybe even to a fourth if they were very cooperative. And it just depends on the individual and y'all's interaction with them, but.
And the board at the time, this is crossed various changes in boards.
I guess my frustration, I mean, I was hit with Diane Canva as probably as hard as anybody in the beginning. But I do see, one, we didn't have a functional plant board for a while, so some of it's not their fault that you know it's taken this long. Two, we're 9 years out on a lot of these violations. It's going to be very difficult because I mean, if it would have been easy to collect, it would have been collected. I agree, it's not fair to the people that paid a fine. It's not fair to the people that got hurt. But at the same time, at some point, you just need a fresh start and let's move forward. And I feel like we're trying to squeeze blood out of a turnip a little bit, going after somebody from.
And I think that's what Scott's, you know, he had worked hard on this before he left, and I think that's what he realized. You just got to cut your losses, draw a line, and move forward.
And as many of y'all know, some of these folks may not be in business next year. We don't have a change in.
Well,
I
feel that way too. Sat through a lot of it. We only sat through what, 1 or 2 hearings. They took about a half a day. And anyway, you got to face reality is what
Those were not typical hearings.
Well, anyway, they happened. I think we got to face reality that and I'm confident that you're confident that you can handle all that past history, but I'm thinking it's too old, and I don't know. And then we've already voted to group those.
Yeah. And you talk about 3 years, the violation goes away. If you're 9 years out.
And you're talking about maybe doing the egregious. We've already voted on dealing with the group. We'd have to vote that back down or do something. I don't know, but
I mean, do we know?
I hate giving up on it, but I'm looking at this like we want to accomplish it if we try to collect it.
And I mean, I assume some of these people aren't even in business now, and
there's some
maybe some that aren't alive. And
I
mean, I see a couple in there I know aren't farming anymore.
With all that said,
you need a motion.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Either way.
I'll make the motion to approve this list as recommended by staff.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve items 1 through 213 as warning letters as recommended by staff.
Is it 213 or 214?
213.
All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Recuse.
Use, and I'm gonna get to the Zoom people. Well, what's the best way to do that?
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. I'll do that.
Mr. Secretary.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, you have. Have to do your roll call.
Okay, roll call vote. So, Mr. Robert Thorne. Aye.
Can we go in that way?
Oh, yeah, excuse me. Mr. Bruce Falford.
No.
Mr. Sammy Angel.
Aye.
Mr. Kyle Balks.
No.
Mr. John Beerbaum,
Aye.
Mr. George Duncan,
No.
Mr. Garrett Frost,
Recuse.
David Gamble's not here, I don't vote. Matthew Miles,
Aye.
Ms. Robin Ralston,
No.
Mr. Reed,
Aye.
and Mr. Senator, you're recusing. Recusing. Mr. Sam Stuckey,
Aye.
Mr. Robert Thorne.
Aye.
Oh, yeah, you are. And then Caleb's not, and Mr. David Wallace.
Aye.
Okay.
Seven to four.
So the motion passes 7-4.
Now, I will be bringing y'all the remainder, that didn't get started y'all today, that fill up through 21, that will be morning for in the near future. We'll have a goal after that to clear the remaining, I don't know if I'm gonna call it backlog, because a lot of work's already been done. Our goal is this spring to kind of be caught up to 2025. I said, that's a goal, so don't. We may run into some things that we don't anticipate, but that's our goal. We are frantically working to close these and get caught up.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's all the pesticide.
I think that's all the security.
Pesticide committee as normal moving forward. Again, this is just a special circumstance.
Very good.
Chairman?
Yeah,
Would you mind if I said a word or two?
I don't mind.
Thank you, George.
I probably shouldn't, but I think I will if you'll let me.
Sure, you go right ahead.
Thank you. I just want to make sure everybody understands that we were working these the whole time. These weren't just sitting there not getting any attention. And I do want to remind everybody that this board was legally unconstitutional till about 2030. So four of my 6 years as director, this board was unconstitutional. And we were getting legal advice that said, well, you can still work with this many members, you can't. It was all very confusing, and we were all concerned if we started having a bunch of hearings, they were going to get overturned. There was legal defense. So we felt like hearings were risky. And we also felt like it was a logistical nightmare for this board to try to have this many hearings. I mean, you meet once a quarter, and a lot of times you have members that can't do that. So, I mean, meeting once or twice a week was a logistical nightmare. So we opted for the settlement option, which traditionally is how we've always managed cases. And I keep saying we, it's not we anymore. I apologize. It's over that. But I just want to leave here with y'all knowing, understanding, it was just a nightmare situation. It was unprecedented. You're right, you know, that we never settled these with warning letters like this. This is all new. It was just my thought, my proposal, my hope to get this staff reset so they can get in management situations. It's ugly. I don't like it. Nobody likes it. But it was, in my opinion, the best option to get it back on track. Could I have done better? Sure. But I leave here knowing I did the best I could with what I had. And there were many, many other factors to consider. I mean, there was staff, there was resources, there were other issues other than dicamba enforcement. And it was just a big job. And you all have been excellent to work with. I just want to make sure that everybody understands this staff did everything they were supposed to do. They really put the work in. And we weren't just sitting there not doing anything. I mean, it was just a nightmare situation. Is what it is.
And we thank you, Scott.
Well, I appreciate that. I just sitting here listening, thinking, one more time, I just want to take an opportunity to make sure everybody understands. We were giving it, we were doing it, and us, them, those people against that wall over there, and those field people, they were giving that. So, thank you for getting that.
Yes, thank you.
Reynolds,
Yes, ma'am.
I've neglected to tell y'all, we do have a pesticide selection coming up this fall. It's a satellite collection in Hot Springs County. It's not a huge collection event. It's very, we're not gonna be able to pick up a lot. It's, we've already kind of reached out to individuals we know who will be bringing pesticide. I'll give y'all an update for the Northeast Arkansas in the spring. This is always dependent upon funding.
Right.
But this is gonna be a very small collection, but the spring, I'm anticipating back up in Northeast Arkansas. Brandon can chime in if she needs to. Sorry about that. I got involved in enforcement action and almost forgot about being banned pesticide.
Thank you. Ms. Ross.
Okay. The Bureau of Standards Committee met via Zoom on Thursday, August 21st, 2025. The staff presented 144 civil penalties to the county for review and recommendation to the board. On attachment 1, there's 64 for expired or no decal. That's table 1, 45 first offense, 18 second offense, 1 third offense, and 8 misrepresentation of pricing on table 2, 5 first offenses, 2 second offense, 1 third offense. 35 for water contamination and fuel on table 3, that's 35 first offenses, and 7 for flash point failure on table 4, 7 first offenses. The committee voted to present 144 penalty actions to the court for approval. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Bureau of Standards Committee recommendation to accept the civil penalties.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
Bruce. We have a motion and a second to accept the Bureau of Standards Committee recommendations on these items, table 1, 2, 3, and 4. All in favor of approving those, signify by aye.
Aye.
Sammy,
Aye.
Garrett,
Aye.
Pat. Very good. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes and they are approved. Mr. Sam, is there anything on board?
I've got a little report here.
So got a little.
Okay, excuse me.
Sorry.
Mr. Sam, put it in part.
Okay, I'll be quick.
No?
Okay.
Okay, on other business, email request to waive the civil penalty of $350 in case BS 26-0049 and $800 in case BS 26-0087 at Atwoods and Lona. The committee voted to present staff's recommendation to the plant board for approval of the recommendations to deny the civil penalty waiver requested in these 2 cases. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Bureau of Standards recommendation. And these are in your file.
Second that.
Make sure I heard you correctly. In both of these, y'all chose not to reduce or waive the penalty
We chose to deny.
or deny.
Yeah,
So you're looking for approval of that denial.
that's right.
Okay. And these are related to some of the ones we voted on, but not the exact ones, correct?
They're
No,
different.
Or was that?
these are different.
Okay. Because the Atwoods is one of those.
No, these are included in the.
That's
The
right.
ones we just voted on.
Yes.
That was my question. So
Okay. I was wrong.
that's what I thought, because it was the Atwoods and Lone Oak was one of them.
Okay.
So when we I just want to make sure we're doing this correctly. Do we need to,
Because we've already voted.
I mean, we've already voted to find them as on that table, correct?
Well, Nick, you want to weigh in on this?
Is that right?
A lot of times what happens is, I get an email request the day before. Asking for a waiver and it becomes. So I include those in other business that they're asking for a waiver.
Yes.
But as far as the approval of the committee or the board, I don't know how, if we want to handle this.
I personally, and Corey may be able to steer us correctly, I don't think we have to, if the subcommittee has already said no, they've already presented us with a table that has the fine, and we've approved it. So I don't know that we need to sign off on their denial if we've already approved it on the table. Is that correct in my thinking?
Do the minutes need to reflect that they were denied?
Their minutes do. The Bureau of Standards minutes do.
They do, but. So we approved,
We've already found it.
yeah, I know it. But this is related to their letter.
Yeah, making sure that they are heard. Or
Yeah.
email is seen.
Yes.
Is there anything wrong with having a motion to say that those two were denied?
That,
That might.
Come on, her.
I mean, at least, I don't
that's
know.
not basically what I said, that I.
Yeah, that's what I don't think, I'm agreeing with
It's
you.
not another confusion here.
Mhm.
That's fine. So the motion is to deny the two requests,
Yeah,
to accept your denial of the two requests, and there's a second.
Oh, I'll figure that.
Okay. All in favor of accepting Bureau of Standards Committee denial of the fines, say aye.
Aye.
Sammy,
Aye.
Matt, Garrett, very good. Any opposed? Let's say. Thanks.
okay, well, it's gonna be the same for these two other businesses. Yeah. So we've already voted to accept the penalties on this. But since we've set the standard with this, let me go ahead and make the motion for the other. So there was an email request to waive the civil penalty of $200 in case BS 26-0016 and $200 in case BS 26-0019 at Watson Oil Company in Corning. And the committee voted to present staff's recommendation to the board for final approval. The recommendation is to deny the civil penalty waiver request in these two cases. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Bureau of Standards Committee recommendation.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second on the two cases, BS 26-0016 and BS 26-0100, that we deny their request for a waiver of the penalty.
It's 26-0019. You're on the last one.
Yeah. So they've had two of them
Yeah,
on that one.
yeah, it has to.
Okay. Very good. On 26-0019 and 26-0100, correct?
No,
No, you're just taking them one by one?
yeah, I am. I can make the motion for all of them to
Okay.
deny.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Bureau of Standards Committee recommendation to deny the civil penalties in cases 26-0016, BS 26-0019, BS 26-0100.
Very good. So the amendment,
Restating the motions, which is.
Yeah.
restating the motion.
All right.
That was on those three, 16, 19, and 100, that we deny their request, approve the Bureau of Standards Committee's denial of their request to waive. All in favor, say aye. Garrett, Matt, Sammy,
Aye.
any opposed? Okay. You're refused. Very good. The motion passes.
Okay. And lastly, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of August 21st, 2025 Bureau of Standards Committee meeting on attachments.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the Bureau of Standards Committee meeting of August 21st. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Matt, Garrett,
Aye.
Sammy,
Aye.
any opposed? Minutes are accepted.
All right, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you. I appreciate you not getting too mad that I jumped the gun.
No,
Okay, I've got a report for and it's in your file too, the foliage subcommittee, and you can see the members of the subcommittee, and I was present. We had a quorum. And we met on July the 25th, and we approved the minutes of February 6th and February 26th and May 6th. And then we had the auditor, and we approved his report unopposed, and the financial report was unopposed. And then Regina Coleman gave the cash flow update based on the reduced acres, and had some comments there. And then the gin, we had three producers that didn't pay the fee, but the gins, after the notice, caught up, and so everything was collected. Then we're operating as a subcommittee on the Department of Agriculture, like the state plant board, on the state plant board, subcommittee of the state plant board. And so our, we're going to provide a opportunity for Zoom meetings and provide the notice, and have the same notice. Am I saying this right? That the way the procedure is for the plant board meetings. We haven't been doing that, but since we decided we needed to do that. So our next meeting is November there's a correction here, November the 13th, 10 o'clock here. The finance committee will meet, and then an hour before. And then, so I need a motion to approve the signed minutes of the two previous meetings.
So moved.
And approve this report. Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the report and approve the minutes of the July 10th, February 26th, and May 6th meetings of the Boll Weevil Committee.
Yes, it goes back to minutes approved for February 26th and May 6th. We approved those. Yes,
Yeah.
That's correct, and approved
all three meetings.
Yes.
Very good. We have a motion and a second to approve those three meeting minutes and accept their report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Matt Miles.
Aye.
Eric Crawl.
Aye.
Sammy Angel.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Say aye. Hearing none. That motion carried. Sam, anything else?
Nothing, but maybe a motion to approve my report. Yeah, okay.
Part of that.
Okay. Let me make sure.
Cool.
Thanks, sir. Won't take a lot of time, but just point out a few things that are going on with the department. First of all, currently the plant industries division has 118 full-time staff, and right now 85 seasonal peanut employees as well. Another big item that we're heavily involved with is rule promulgation. Currently, we have 7 rules that are at some point in the process. We have 3 that are at the governor's office, and we have 4 that are in some, well, let me back up. At the conclusion of the 2025 legislative session, we identified what new acts or what laws required promulgation of rules, whether it be a new rule, a repeal, or an amendment, with regards to plant board rules. And that number was 4. One of those was rescinding the catfish rule. That's currently the draft at the governor's office. And then feed rule and fertilizer rule, which are going through the internal department review process. And then finally, probably the largest one, seed rules, we're in the internal drafting phase in that. It's a very long rule. We're taking the opportunity to not only make an amendment based on what the 2025 legislative session called for, but also looking to see, can we make this easier to read, easier to understand? It hasn't been changed since 2013, and a lot of things have changed. So we're reviewing that. In addition, we have a number of others that we're going to review to see, for example, some of our enforcement rules. A lot of those haven't been reviewed or amended, looked at with an eye of whether amendments are needed in a long time. So we're going to take this opportunity first to get the ones that were required into the process, and then looking at other division rules, plant board rules, to see if there's anything else we need to amend, essentially. Some of those include apiary rules, and like I said, some of the other enforcement rules as well. We had talked to you previously about collections. With my transition and the recent coming on board of our new chief legal counsel, the summer, there's not been a lot going on, but I want to pick that back up. We've gotten through a good portion of the process. So my goal is by the time we meet again in probably December, that I have some good information with that. But we're actually working that too. I don't have the total number off the top of my head. Fair to say that probably pesticide section is the most, and it's like 267,000. So it's not a huge amount, but it's not inconsequential either. So we're working on that. And then finally, just to brag on the staff in the division, we have employees that represent the plant board and the division, various state and national organizations and conferences. And I was just going to point out a couple of those: Associated Grain Regulatory Officials, Arkansas Pest Management Association, the State Beekeepers Association, the Association of American Feed Control Officials, the Southern Plant Board, the National Plant Board, and the North American Plant Protection Organization. So we're heavily involved, not just in division stuff, but also giving Arkansas a voice in these sometimes international organizations. Any questions for me?
Have none. All right, thank you. Anyone else? Very good. Okay, election of office. So we need to vote on chair and vice chair and secretary. Okay. So I'll open the floor for nomination. Or we gonna handle them one at a time or all of them?
Like a motion to approve the same slate of officers that we've had for the past year.
Second.
Who made the second? Well, thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations? That isn't all.
Volunteers.
It sounds like it.
I move nomination cease and elect by acclamation.
All right. So there has been a motion and a second to keep the same slate of officers for the coming year. All in favor?
Aye.
Matt? Eric? Sammy?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Congratulations.
Is there any other business?
I got a question. Was for Susie, drone applications. Is there any new updates on that?
It is part of the rule packet that I think is down at the governor's office for review. I updated that entire rule book to make it more user friendly because it was a nightmare. Actually, and I did. It was not a fun process. But we did add drones in there for private and commercial. and I'm actually finalizing the drone guidance document we have right now. And I am playing phone tag with Dr. Dennis Gardisher, who Garrett asked me to reach out for. That man is extremely hard to get because he travels the world to get in front of the committee and the board because he is an aerial engineer, one of them. He's world renowned. He's only a handful of them in the country, and we're lucky to have him here in Arkansas. So I'm working on getting him to come talk to y'all to basically his views or any questions y'all have. But yes, sorry, you got more than you asked for.
Yeah,
So.
so I'm assuming that might be in place for this coming spring, maybe, or is this?
Well, one way or another, that they do have to be licensed right now, but this allows us to do more category specific testing. So they're already required to be licensed. This just hones in more on drones.
Yeah, and I assume our kaput language is still down there.
Governor's office.
6 months now.
No date for it. It's been a while. I know that.
I bet it's been a half a year. Ridiculous. See if they didn't lose it on this place.
I have a question, Corey, and so this just makes me think, we don't have to make any changes. But we had a bunch of violations we took care of, and we only look back 3 years from the date of violation, because that's our rule. Is there any need to amend our rule, change our rule, so that if it takes a significant amount of time, for whatever reason, not just in this case, but if it takes 2.5 years to get through a case, that there is still some bite for a future violation?
Shouldn't it be when we vote on the measure or approve that?
That sounds reasonable, yes. It's not our rule now, that's why it makes me ask the question.
I inquired about that when we were discussing it. So.
Well, my next project is what I refer to as our penalty matrix, because there's some things I've been wanting to propose for a while. I mean, I can definitely get with Corey because his legal knowledge will help a lot on this.
And that's one that I specifically mentioned that we are in the beginning phases.
Okay. That's what I meant.
It will be the very first non-legislative session required rule that we're going to put in for development, and then obviously presentation to the board for recommendations, guidance, ultimately approval.
Very good. Is there any other new business?
Susie, I had a question about Dennis. As far as the board is concerned, what do we need to do to get him hired? I understand the phone tag, but how much of an approval process is that? Or I'm certainly interested in having him present, next meeting before we get too close to another growing season.
What I discussed with him on the phone, Garrett, is coming to talk to y'all, and then based off of what y'all asked him, then he could possibly do a proposal back to what his services would cost if we even needed his services. So we're kind of in a gray area. Again, he just, that man is never in this country.
Would he be here by our December meeting?
I'm hoping to get him before then, or at least to the best I can make it before then. Again, I've got to call him back again after this meeting. But it will depend on to get him here initially. No, I'm not anticipating us having to pay him or anything like that. But depending on what he says may depend on how to move forward. Because there's lots of different opinions on if drones have the capacity to follow federal labels right now. So if they don't have the capacity, why are we even given a license? And that's where Dennis comes into play.
That's part of my concern, and I just don't want to get behind on another issue again. Now that I'm here on the board, I worry about creating some resistance issues potentially. But if not him, or maybe a combination of some other people, just to give us some information and see what's happening out in the field, before it kind of gets away from us and we don't even know what's happened yet.
And I know several other states are actually utilizing Dennis in his aerial engineering capacity. We're unique that he's here in Arkansas.
Is he the one that came to a meeting maybe 18 months ago, a year ago? Is he
Jason Davis, University of Arkansas.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
But he is one of our experts on drones also. Dennis is just unique in the fact that he has that aerial engineer background. He he was the University of Arkansas expert for years. He does a lot of the aircraft setup here in Arkansas. A lot of our rules that everyone sees, Dennis actually was involved in writing. The 2,4-D test that everyone complains is so hard. Dr. Garter wrote that test.
Thank you.
Garrett knows him well. If you're at any aerial meetings, you know Dennis.
Yeah, we have a lot of respect for it, but that's all for me. I just, you know, the quicker we can get something like that, you know, before we get in the middle of the season and then have it, I think would be good.
Thank you for bringing that up. So we need to set our meeting, I guess, for December, or has that been set?
No, I don't think we have a meeting date for December, so we need to set that date. Plus, I would like the board to set some tentative dates for the remaining three subsequent meetings.
Yeah, my fault. So, is there a day of the week that staff prefers? Okay. What about December 10th? That's a Wednesday.
That's the opening day of duck season.
Well,
What about the day before? We did it last year. What about Tuesday night?
What about
Tuesday the ninth.
Sir?
Tuesday the ninth, the day before.
Can't do that.
Monday the eighth.
Price Outlook conference is going on that week. Monday the 8th would work. Y'all don't find a Monday.
Good for me.
So December 8th, that's a Monday. Anybody looking at a calendar and see a conflict? These things are obviously fluid and can be changed, so we will stick with December 8th.
What time?
9:30.
9:30? 9:30 is fine. If it's all right with y'all. And so we'll need one for March. So. Ooh, what about daylight saving time day change? What about March 10th? Anybody have a conflict on March 10th? I might, but it's not on there now, so nope. All right, so March 10th. In June. What about June the 9th? Anybody have a conflict on June 9? And obviously these are tentative. If things come up, sure, we can work that. September. What about Tuesday the 8th? Any problems there? Nope. Okay, so we'll set those, at least pencil them in for March, June, and September. If you have something come up, that's fine.
Bless you.
All right. Is there anything else? Is there a motion out there?
Make a motion with adjourn.
Second.
Very good. All the best.
Aye.
Thank y'all.